You know, the AI we all use every day is amazing at answering our questions. But what if it could do more? I mean, what if it could stop just answering and actually start solving our problems? Well, that's exactly the shift we're diving into today. So let me start by asking you a question. Just think, for a second, about the most powerful large language model, an LLM, that you've ever used. With all that power, what's the one thing it just can't do? The answer? It can't solve complex, multi-step problems all by itself. Sure, it's a fantastic conversationalist, but it's not a true problem solver. And that gap, right there, is what we're going to talk about bridging. So let's break that down. To really get where AI is going, first we have to be honest about its current limits. Think of it as the LLM's glass ceiling. A typical interaction with an LLM is a one-shot deal. You send a prompt, you get a single response back, and that's it. The exchange is over. It's incredibly powerful for that one turn, but it can't take action on the information, and it definitely can't try again if it gets something wrong. It's just stuck. So, if that one-shot model is the problem, what's the solution? Well, this is where things get really exciting. Let's meet the new paradigm, the AI agent. Now, this is absolutely crucial. An AI agent isn't just a bigger, smarter model, it's a whole system. It uses an LLM as its brain, its reasoning engine, to break down a problem, use different tools, and then it just loops over and over again until the job is actually done. And this is the core of how it works. It's this simple, elegant cycle called the agentic loop. First, the agent reasons about the problem. Then, it acts by picking and using a tool. After that, it observes what happened. And finally, it refines its plan and decides if it needs to go again. Reason, act, observe, refine. It's this constant cycle of progress. So what makes that loop possible? There are a few key pillars. First up is autonomy. You see, in a normal program, a developer scripts out every single step. With an agent, the AI itself decides what to do next. It has a goal, and it figures out its own way to get there. The second pillar is tool use. If the LLM is the agent's brain, think of tools as its hands. Tools are what let it actually interact with the world. To check a database, run some code, or connect to an API. Without tools, an agent is just thinking. With tools, it's doing. And the third pillar is planning and reflection. This is where it gets really, really smart. An agent can look at its own actions and self-correct. If a tool fails or an approach isn't working, it doesn't just give up. It reflects, figures out a new strategy, and tries again. That ability to recover from failure is an absolute game changer. Okay, that's the theory. But what does this look like in the real world? Let's walk through an example and watch an agent solve a customer service crisis that would totally stump a normal chatbot. So here's our problem. We've got a frustrated customer with a two-part issue, a billing error and an account access problem. They don't want an apology, they need a solution, and they need it now. And this slide really nails the difference. A plain LLM, over on the left, is basically helpless. It can't access any real systems. It can't issue a refund. All it can do is speculate and apologize. But the agentic system on the right, it's ready to get to work. It can use tools, reason through the problem, and actually execute the solution, all on its own. And here's exactly how it does it, step by step. The agent autonomously looks up the customer's account, pulls their recent transactions, and immediately spots the duplicate charge. Then it grabs a payment tool and issues a refund. Next, it uses another tool to make sure account access is restored. And finally, it fires off a confirmation email to the customer. Problem solved, no human needed. So the main point here isn't that one is better than the other, not at all. It's about knowing which tool to use for which job. So let's create a really clear framework for making that choice. This table is pretty much the perfect cheat sheet. Look at control flow. A normal LLM call is just a straight line. One step, and you're done. An agent runs in a loop. Or check out failure recovery. With an LLM, if it gives you a bad answer, you have to retry. An agent, on the other hand, can adapt and correct itself. The takeaway is simple. For a quick chat or a summary, a standard LLM is great. But for a complex, autonomous workflow, you're going to want an agent. All right, we've covered the why, the what, and the when. Let's pull this all together and start thinking about how you can actually apply this stuff. So if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this. LLMs are for answering, but agents are for solving. And they do it with that powerful combo. autonomy to choose their own path, tools to actually interact with the world, and that awesome ability to iterate and learn from their mistakes. Anytime you face a complex, multi-step challenge, that's your signal to think beyond a simple prompt and consider an agent.
And that brings us to our final thought. Now that you understand this new paradigm, just look around at your job, your projects, your daily headaches. What complex, frustrating problem in your world is just sitting there, waiting for an agent to solve it?